Hobby Quick Hits. Delivering that breaking hobby news directly to your earlobes. You want to know those hot drops from the card shop? We've got you covered. With your host, John Newman.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 198 of Hobby Quick Hits. And I know the last time we did Hobby Quick Hits, I did sort of a combination 3-show review of the last 3 card shows that I did. And I don't necessarily like to do those all the time or for every show. Most shows are very similar. And I've never done back-to-back kind of show review episodes like I'm going to do today. So today we're going to talk about, it's a brand new show that I did, but the promoter I've worked with for over 20 years. He's the promoter of the big Syracuse Fairgrounds show I do, but he's starting with this past show to do an every other month Quality Inn hotel show. And so I signed up. I said, man, I'm going to at least do it the first year, see how they go. And went in there kind of open-minded, not expecting greatness or excellence right off the jump. But I was shocked and surprised with the first show out the gates. And again, I wasn't going to do this show, but that show really, I have no choice but sort of to review the show. And there's sort of a method to my madness here, and my point, one of my points to this show is to, regardless of the size of the show, don't sleep on these smaller shows as a dealer and as a consumer. And I think everyone was happy at the show I'm going to talk about today, on the dealer side for sure, and on the collector side as well. So that's what this show is going to be about. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back with our new release schedule, some news, and then the review of the Quality Inn show.
Okay, now a quick word from our great sponsor, followed by the new product release schedule. Then we'll go around the Hobbyverse to tell you all the latest hobby happenings and news. Then we'll tackle today's topic of discussion.
Hi, this is Pat Hughes, Cubs announcer, coming to you from the Sports Card Shop in beautiful New Buffalo, Michigan. The Gocher family has built an incredible place here for collectors to buy, sell, and trade cards and memorabilia. Be sure to stop by and let them show you around. TheSportsCardShop.com, connecting sports, athletes, the hobby, and collectors around the world.
Hi. This is Alan Pinkett, and I'm here to tell you the Gocher family has done it again. They've just opened up the Sport Card Shop in downtown Valparaiso, Indiana, and it is awesome. If you're a collector, you need to check this place out. Tell them Alan sent you and get a free gift on your first visit.
All right, let's get right to the product release schedule. Lots on the docket, starting with February 12th, which is a big release day in itself. These are all February 12th product releases. To start, 2024 Panini Prism WNBA Basketball. 2024 Panini 3-2 Baseball. 2025 Top Series 1 Blasters, Fat Packs, Hangers, Hobby and Jumbo, Monster Boxes, and Baseball Retail. 2025 is hitting the shelves and the market. Also on the 12th, 2024/25 Upper Deck Allure Hockey, Upper Deck Halo Legacy Collection. Let's move to the 13th. Topps Chrome McDonald's All-American Basketball, Regular and Mega. On the 14th, we have Top Series 1 Baseball Super Boxes, Mega Boxes, and the always popular baseball tins. Also on the 14th, 2024, Leaf History Book Pop Culture Edition Chapter 1. 2024, Topps Garbage Pail Kids Chrome. 2024, Topps UFC Finest, Regulars, Blasters, and Megas. Last product for the 14th, Yu-Gi-Oh! Blue Eyes White Destiny Structure deck. All right, going to the 19th, 2024, 25, Panini Prism Basketball. 2024, Topps Chrome Football Hobby. Breakers Delight, Blasters, and Megas. 2024, Topps Star Wars Hyperspace. 2024/25, Upper Deck O-Pee-Chee Hockey. 2024, Upper Deck Skybox Metal Universe Champions. Going now to the 21st, like I said, gotta catch my breath here, lots of 8 product. 2024, Leaf Heroes and Prospects Football Hobby and Jumbos. 2023-24, Panini Immaculate Soccer. 2024, Panini Spectra Football. Pokemon Azure Legends 10. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet Prismatic Evolutions 2 packs and blisters. Still on the 21st, 2024, Wild Card Dynamite Football. 2025, Pieces of the Past 9-Year Edition Series 1. And that's the next 2 weeks in product releases. Some big releases, including the ever-anticipated Topps Flagship 2025. So, there you go. Choose your weapon. Happy ripping.
Let's go round the hobbyverse and catch up on this week's hobby news.
And find out. All right, let's go around the hobby here, talk about some news. Probably the big news, right? Topps Flagship coming out this week, 2025. Everyone kind of circles this on the calendar and also kind of signifies the return of the baseball season and pitchers and catchers reporting to spring training. So that part's exciting if you are a baseball fan. Speaking of Topps/Fanatics, they are introducing in the new Diamond Icons release, high-end product, a new liquid silver processing featuring silver embossing. It'll be 3D-like in the first time they've ever done it. I've seen pictures online. Obviously, I don't think that tells the complete story of to seeing them in person, but looking forward to maybe getting some of those and seeing what they look like obviously in person. 1961, big year in baseball, speaking of while we're on the topic of baseball, and quite a bit of products from that I shouldn't say products, but memorabilia from 1961, including a jersey of Roger Maris from that epic season, which he broke the home run record. But a bunch of Mantle stuff will be in the Heritage Winter Auction, which runs through February 26th. The Maris jersey expected to potentially reach 7 figures, and that will be the key highlight of that auction. But again, some Mantle stuff, some other Maris stuff from the historic 1961 Yankee season. And Super Bowl, at the time of this recording, it has no result yet. The game hasn't been played, but the Chiefs are going for a repeat, and I think Patrick Mahomes is trying to cement his legacy right there with Tom Brady. He'll be a few rings short, but still young and still has a lot of football to play. And I've often said that he's the guy that will come probably the closest to Brady. And so this will be one step to kind of cement that. A new hobby movie comes out this week, Hobby Hustle. It is about 155 minutes. I was privy and privileged to screen the movie. It is excellent. And that director of that movie, Michael Daut, will be my guest on Sports Card Nation the next 2 Fridays here, Part 1 and Part 2, to chop up the movie, chop up the hobby, chop up some of the subjects covered in the film. And Michael did a good job, and you'll hear me if you listen to the interview. We talked about this, really covering all the aspects of the hobby, the good, the bad, and the ugly. It wasn't just fluff about all the great things, and the hobby is great. I'm not saying it isn't, but he really covered all the angles in the whole hobby as a whole. And I think, it's not the first hobby movie, but I think it's done the best job thus far of really, showing all sides to the hobby. So Michael Dault, the director, will be on this week and next week as well to talk about that film, to talk about the hobby.
And now, our feature presentation.
All right, I don't do these show review episodes for every show I do. I don't think every show is worthy of an audio podcast review, but the show I'm going to talk about today definitely qualifies for this episode. So it was held at the Quality Inn North Hotel in East Syracuse, February 2nd. New show there, done by a longtime promoter, Lynn Lake, who's an alumnus of this podcast, been on the show. He's, you hear me talk about my home show at the fairgrounds. He's the promoter of that big, large show on the fairgrounds property. But he's expanding his showcase with these Quality and North shows. And I think there's, every other month, so there'll be 6 this year. This was the first one, the first foray. And, kind of went in not knowing what to expect. It was going to be kind of a smaller venue, a smaller setting. That can be good and bad. And here's why. Good, because you're competing in a sense against less dealers, for what that's worth. The bad could be is sometimes the perception of a small show, is it worth going with less dealers, right? So you got that little bit tug of war. So I really went in there, not knowing what to expect. It's February. It's cold, and this particular day, it was bone-chilling cold, 5 to be exact. So I get there, I park in kind of the circle, and I start to bring in stuff, and I see Lynn, and I realize, he's having tables in the inside of the banquet room and in the foyer, in the hallway as well. And I thought it would all be in one room. I'm not going to lie, a little nervous at first, where people just go into the main room and then skip us out out in front. But we were very visible. We were right there where the line comes in. So I wasn't super worried, but that thought always crosses your mind. So a little funny aside here as well. So I'm about set up. I'm set up with my friend Chad, who I usually set up with, and I realized I left my sling crossover bag filled with my kind of starting cash, locked in my car. So I tell my friend Chad, hey, show hasn't started yet, so I'm going to run out to my car and grab that and come back. So I take my keys, I'm going out to my car, I'm hitting the fob to unlock it, and I'm getting nothing. My lights aren't blinking, the door's not unlocking. And so I'm like, what the heck's going on? Now, again, it's a brutally cold day. So I'm like, is the key fob battery dead? Is something wrong with my car? So I open it manually, and then I put I don't have a push to start. I got to put key in the ignition and start it, and it didn't turn over. And then I'm like, oh my God, this can't be happening. The show's about to start. I can't, what am I going to do? So I call my wife, tell her what's going on. She and my son come out while I'm at the show. AAA comes out, they do their thing, get it running, and, my wife stays there and lets the car run for 30 minutes to do. After that, she turned it off. My son, came in the show, gave keys, and, they both went home. So, now it's showtime. And I tell you what, 600 people attended this thing. It was packed. I could not even, it's funny because we were in the foyer, we had couches behind the tables, so I could have sat or laid on the couch, but it was so busy this day, there was no laying on couches, even if I wanted to. It was nonstop. Best show I've done in probably 3 or 4 years, if not more. I my cases got turned over a couple times. I was filling holes as fast as I could, to the point I couldn't fill them all. So I'm definitely gonna have to kind of restock some things, and maybe some stuff here in my studio office here, that kind of restock that way as well. I don't bring everything to the show. Bought some cards. Big sellers were Saquon Barkley, for obvious reasons. Josh Allen was another big seller. But I sold vintage, I sold modern, I sold graded, I sold raw. I did some $5 fun packs. I sold about 25 of those. It was just one of those shows. They don't happen all the time like that, but where you just sell a lot of stuff, right? Everything. Again, raw, vintage, graded, modern. I made these fun packs. I redid my dollar box and loaded that up with some better stuff. Sold quite a bit out of that. I'm going to reload that. I'm going to have to reload really across and people were in good spirits. And I was worried, being it's 5 degrees out, like maybe people say, you know what, it's too cold, I'm staying in, I'm not even keeping my pajamas on, watching, it's Sunday. You've heard my thing, the Saturday usually better than Sunday if at the same place, each other. But it was, again, I was stunned at how well the show was. And as you know, I'm not going to say what I took in financially to that. Sorry if it's yet, but I'll just say it was easy, 4 figures and then some. Like I said, I haven't done a show like that kind of in a long time. I've had good shows, very good. I put it in a great classification. SGC table was busy. I think one of the things too, I don't think I talked about this on any of the podcasts. I was using a lot of plastic cases. I have my friend Nick Dio, who's also a dealer. He makes out of flooring. He'll make kind of open box cases, and he made me an open box case, 24 by 36, 2 by 3 foot. I did a funny post on social media where I'm carrying it. It's heavy when it's loaded, which I keep it loaded. I put some handles on it. So that open box made its debut at this show, and that was a huge hit too. And in this box, I have vintage, modern, graded cards, small wax tops boxes, T206 product, the Blake Jameson, that sort of stuff. Those are in there. Living set single, all sports. Soccer cards, Lorcana. This box, I could put it all out in the open and people through it, rather than have to open drawers and different things. It's more welcoming, and the difference was palpable. People were looking through it. People were buying from it. It was just probably the best decision I made. And as beautiful as those plastic boxes I used were, there's something more inviting about the design of this 24 by 30 wood box. It was a big hit. I mean, everything. I'm trying to even think. I sold some stuff that I haven't sold in from the last 10 shows. And so just a great day. A lot of new SGC bulk subbers. So I had my regulars, which is always great, and appreciate those folks, and I had a lot of new folks. And there was times. I mean, I know this is a small show. This is gonna sound weird. It felt almost national, like because my whole table and a half were like people were in front of it in every spot, and then there was like a second row of people waiting, like to kind of come up to replace them as moved on to the next table. And like I said, I had no time to sit down. I'm glad, thankfully, this venue is only 5 miles from my house. Thankfully, it was close so my wife and son could come out and kind of handle what happened with my car and get that going. And it just was a great show. The day went quick. It was so busy. It was like, I looked at my watch and it was like, we only got an hour left. I'm superstitious, so I never count money during the show. But you do this long enough, you get a sense for how well or not well you're doing. And I knew, without counting, I knew this was incredible. So between just trying to keep up with the cases, filling spots, and at one point it just was too busy. There was just open spots. It is, it is what it was. And, people obviously saw some old friends that I hadn't seen in a while that came to the show, including a friend of mine, Chuck, who I used to play softball with. I hadn't seen him. I've seen him on Facebook, but I haven't seen him in person in years. And just a really great day. And, again, I didn't count funds till I got home, but went out to dinner after the show with my friends Chad and Nick. Already had met on this episode. But, show's over, I'm packing up, and I'm like, God, man, I hope my car starts, right? Like, I know when AAA and my wife and son left after letting it run 30 minutes was fine. But, it's still 5 degrees out there. It's going, like, is something wrong? Is it the alternator? So, man, I'm like, please start. I don't want to be stuck here, longer. I had dinner plans, again, with my friend Chad and Nick. And thankfully it started. It was fine. Moved it, loaded the car up, and then headed to a local restaurant and pub and enjoyed a nice meal. All three of us had great shows. Myself, Chad, who sits up right next to me, and Nick, who was actually in the banquet room itself. We all did tremendous. So we had some laughs and dinner, and it was time to call it a day. And 600 people through the door in a small venue. That says a lot. The hobby is doing very well. Yes, some people have left. Got new people coming in every day. There's going to be. So I'm optimistic. I'm having fun. Right. Whatever you do, right, you try to have as much fun as possible. Enjoy it. I definitely wasn't expecting this kind of show. First time out too. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have a good explanation for it. Maybe the cold actually helped us. We said, hey, I'm going to the warm show, and a week before the Super Bowl, and sold a lot of football. Like I said, Saquon was a big hit. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, a lot of playoff guys. Jaden Daniels, Jaden. But again, I sold a lot of stuff. It wasn't just one or two items. I don't know if it was the new setup. Maybe it was kind of refreshing to people because I'm sort of a creature of habit. My setup will kind of look similar from one show. Now it's sort of different. So maybe a little bit of that, but everyone did well. I don't know. Maybe just with the new, I don't know if the election has anything to do with it. Maybe I'm going a little bit in that, but I don't know. It was just a great day, and it bodes well for the hobby. That's it's nice to make money, and if you're a dealer and you set up, sure, that's money, right? And you shouldn't feel guilty for that, right? Because we're putting money back in the hobby. I've got to buy a bunch of stuff, right? Of how much, so that's a good cycle, right? So I just had a good vibe, good feeling at the conclusion of the show. When you have so hopefully wherever you are, the hobby is thriving along the same lines. All right, thank you for listening to another episode of Hobby Quick Hits. Want to give out our social media, starting with our website, which is www.sportscardnationpodcast.com. Facebook, you can follow us at www.facebook.com/sportscardnationpodcast. Twitter, we are at SportsCardNati1, so it's SportsCard NATI1. Instagram at SportsCardNationPodcast, or you can email the show hobbyquickhits@gmail.com. Again, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.